our first night from the BQE to the QED. And towards the end of the night, I'll explain to you how that all came about. I particularly want to thank my friends that came in from Manhattan, because now you're the bridge and tunnel crowd that's coming to Queens. And unlike how we were treated when we came in from Brooklyn and Queens to the clubs, and they had the little checkerboard, no, you're not getting in. In Queens, we let everybody in. All right, we have some great storytellers, but there's always a saying in bars and even in theaters, you don't mix religion and politics. Well, we're throwing that out the window tonight with our first guest. So, the reason I got our first guest is a couple of months ago, Reverend Billy, who was a church down on 3rd Street and Avenue C of the Stop the Shopping Choir. I would recommend going there. It's every Sunday at 5 o'clock. He has a service there with a 30-piece choir, and it is fantastic. So he got the idea he wanted to canonize someone as a saint. So his idea of canonizing someone, he picked an atheist. And he picked Malachi McCourt, or as Malachi says, he's an atheist, thank God. And he canonized and made Malachi a saint. But then Malachi and myself do a show on WBAI every Sunday from 11 to 12. He was complaining that Reverend Billy canonized him as a saint, but didn't give him a halo. So, like any of us now in this type of economy, we went on Amazon and bought a halo for Malachi. So what we're going to do now is have Al Gonzalez on the bagpipes, because this is the only way you can bring in the likes of a Reverend Billy and a Malachi McCourt. And he's going to be playing When the Saints Go Marching In. You're at Mass. He'll be taking a collection later on, and it better be a silent one. He doesn't want to hear the rattling of coins. Thank you, Reverend Billy, for trying to save some souls or damning them to hell. Malachi, that halo's going to come in good when you need to read your notes. It's almost like we have on the computer. Who knew that they came in handy? Amazon does work. Well, Malachi and myself do a show every Sunday, 11 to 12, and when you know who was in power, Trump, it was the easiest show in the world to do, because I would go to Malachi, so what do you think Trump did this week? And I could leave for about 40 minutes, and then come back and just go, is that right? So here's Malachi for a few minutes. It looks like after that sermon from Malachi, he lost his halo. So, we're now going to go to our next storyteller, good friend Mary Goggin. Parents are from Ireland, immigrated to the Bronx, but unfortunately, the streets of the Bronx grabbed Mary at the age of 13, where she became addicted to heroin, and then her life spiraled out of control. But she's turned it around and she's written a play. It's called Runaway Princess. She's doing it in Ireland in September. She's going to be over at the Sean O'Casey Theater. She's doing it all around the city, and she goes into prisons, to women's prisons, and does the play and let them know that there is hope and there is light at the end of the tunnel. And the play is called Runaway Princess. a hopeful tale of heroin, hooking, and happiness. Thank you. RunawayPrincessPlay.com, and doing it at theaters all around the city.
And the country.
Now we're going to get the co-producer of this play, or this night, because it is a very long-running play, really, is Al Gonzalez. Me and Al came up with the idea to have New Yorkers telling New York stories in New York City. People were telling me, what a brilliant concept. I said, that's hardly a brilliant concept. We're living here, we might as well tell the stories. So Al's retired from the NYPD many years now, but he spent most of his career in the South Bronx, the 4-0 precinct. He's currently writing his memoir, and this is going to be one of the chapters. Well, to continue on, the BQE to the QED has partnered up with one of the greatest organizations here in New York City that was founded by someone that's here tonight, David Rothenberg. Over 50 years ago, him and two friends started the Fortune Society. And I can't even imagine, or I don't think David can even count the amount of lives that that organization has saved. Never mind what Mayor Adams has done, taking it out of Rikers Island, that they don't have that support now when they come out. There's an office in Long Island City with the Fortune Society. It's also up in Harlem on 140th and Riverside Drive. And one of the people that came out of prison after a life on the streets in Hell's Kitchen and Times Square is Kaz Torres. And David, who was a Broadway producer, seen the stories of everyone that was coming through the Fortune, and he says, there's a play there. And he developed the play, and he produced the play. And I guess little did Kaz think when he was running around the streets of Hell's Kitchen that all these years later he would end up in an off-Broadway theater for a full year telling his story. So we're going to have Kaz come up and tell his story. Well, we're coming towards the end, and these were the stories I was thinking about when I did go to the Moth and some of the storytelling around there, and to find people like Kaz and everybody that you've met there tonight. And I can't thank David Rothenberg enough for helping me out in my play, driving a yellow cab. They gave me the encouragement to go on and do it. But to hear these stories, we have now partnered up with the Fortune Society. So every second Thursday, we will be back here with someone from the Fortune Society with their story and different people I have met throughout the Thank you again, David. Now, I just want to tell you quickly how all of this came about. Al and me were going to storytelling events, and we went to the Moth in Long Island City. And when we came out of there, the storytellers are very good. They're very professional when you get to a certain level in the Moth. But the stories weren't, to me, as gripping as we said today. And Al said, you know, stop bitching and moaning, let's do it. Now, the reason I came to this conclusion is because I used to tell stories at my local on Lexington Avenue, Rocky Sullivan's. We called it the Literary Lounge of Lexington Avenue. And at one stage, Malachi McCourt made a phone call that changed my life. He called the Irish Repertory Theater, told Kieran O'Reilly, who founded it. He says, look at what this guy's doing. I think he could do something. So he produced it and directed it. And it was an off-Broadway show for 3 months at the Irish Rep. Good reviews. And it just sold out. So, but every night there was a phenomenon. I would go outside, and the audience members would be there, and they said, you ever think about doing the Moth? And I said, I can't do it, I'm at the Irish Rep. So after the 3 months were over, I said, you know what, I'm going to do the Moth. So I went to the Bell House in Brooklyn. Now, I didn't know what the process was. You take your name and you put it in a hat, and then they only pick 10 people, and you hope to be one of the 10, and then they pick 3 drunken people to make them judges. A story. And when I love the Moth. I listen to it every Saturday, 2 to 3. The stories are incredible. But I was looking on this stage and saying, where are they getting the stories that I hear on the radio? Certainly not here. And the place is packed, 300 people. So the general thread almost everybody that went up on the stage, they're all male, 25. Hello, I live in my mother's basement. I smoke weed, I drink beer, and I play video games. And then the female would get up. Hi, my boyfriend lives in his mother's basement. He smokes weed, he drinks beer, and he plays video games. So this was the extent of their stories or their life experience. Now, I don't want to go old school on you people here, but at 18, we were drafted. Our government sent us somewhere around the world to kill someone. We came back, we got married, had 2 kids, got divorced, and by age 25, we were raging alcoholics and drug addicts. But we had stories. We these kids today, what do they got? I'm coding, I'm IT. What kind of story? Where are you going to get a story out of that? So I didn't get picked that night. So I was coming out of there, I said, I'm going to give it one more shot. So I went to Housing Works down in Soho. So I noticed the pattern. If you go too early and your name is at the bottom, you don't get picked. So I waited till the last, had my name on top, and I got picked. So I got up and I told this crazy story about me and my friend Seth Goldman, fellow hack. The Amazing Race flew us out to California to be part of the Amazing Race. Now, if we had won the $1 million, I wouldn't be up here. And all good stories end in disaster, and so did this. So I got the highest points up until that point. So as the night's going on, the last guy goes up, and he starts talking about, he goes, I have a dog. He means everything to me. He's my life. And he started getting sick, and he was getting sicker. And I took him to the vet. And I'm thinking, if this dog dies, I'm fucked. And of course the dog dies. Everyone's crying, he wins. So I leave there, I said, forget it. This Moth, I'm not cut out for it. So a couple of years later, my friend who used to own Theater 80 on St. Mark's Place, I decided to do a fundraiser for him, but doing a fundraiser of 3 nights for St. Mark's where he was in the hole for $12 million didn't really put a dent in much. But it was more symbolic than anything. But the same thing was happening again. People were coming up to me after the show. You ever think about doing the Moth? I said, enough of the Moth already, enough. So then one night, I finished the show, I come out, this woman comes up to me. You ever think about doing the Moth? I said, let me tell you about the fucking Moth. Unless you're doing something about dying dogs, you're not getting on there. So she reaches into her coat, and she hands me her card. The Moth. Artistic director, Kathleen Burns. I went into Ralph Cramden. Humna, 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 humna. I bribe a dust. I said, listen, Kathleen, I am so sorry. Please forgive me what I said. But I love the Moth, but I don't do dying dogs. She goes, don't worry, you don't have to do it. And she got me onto the Moth. We did it at the Music Hall in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Actually got paid for it. So that's how I got into this storytelling community, and that's why what Al and me are trying to create is what's going on now. And what I want Al to do now, we're going to finish off with a song, and we played this song with David and Malky. We're at the Ethical Society, and we were doing a fundraiser for WBAI. And we finished off with the song Amazing Grace that Al plays, and unfortunately Al has played it way too many times at funerals, particularly after 9/11. He probably never stopped playing it for months after months. And I figured this is the perfect song for here tonight to finish up, because it encapsulates everything. I was once lost and now I'm found. I'm blind, I can see. And I just think this song just captures everything about the type of storytelling that went on, people going wayward and then turning their lives around. And Al's just going to play a verse of it on the bagpipes, and then we're going to have a friend of the family come up and sing it, Erin Krebs, fantastic singer. And then we're going to call it a night, and I'll see you in February 2nd. I'm so glad that the QED took a chance on us, and I think it paid off. And please, put it out on all the platforms, because we got a lot of publicity going in now, but I know after tonight with yesterday's news, you know, when I call up the same reporters, they're going to say, oh, you again? Come on, we already played. You're there every second Thursday. So now we're going to need the word of mouth to really spread what we're doing. And is Al there? Al. You hear the, as they call it, the skirl of a bagpipe.